Let's talk about connection with the land. Rizal's connection with the Dominicans began even before he was born. Rizal's Chinese great-grandfather, Domingo Lamco, was befriended by the Dominicans and was sent to Binyan, where he helped them construct the irrigation canals. In 1833, the Dominicans purchased the Calamba estate south of Binyan and opened it to tenants, which was owned before by a Spanish layman. As landowners, they used their earnings to support educational institutions for University of Santo Tomas, the Colegio de San Juan de Letran, orphanage, and their mission in the Philippines and abroad. Don Francisco, Rizal's father, moved to Calamba from Binyan and became a primary tenant on the Calamba estate. Because Don Francisco was productive, he gained favor with the Dominicans, and he was able to lease more land south of the town in the Pansol area with no obligation to pay for the first 5 years. Because of the farmlands, Rizal's family became very productive as time went by. Rizal's expenses for schooling at Ateneo, the University of Santo Tomas, and abroad were taken from their earnings.
Hello, let's talk about Rizal early encounter with the Dominicans. Back when Rizal was a little children, he used to play around in Calamba, Laguna. Rizal is a natural-born artist. At a young age, he always wrote poetry and entertained visitors through his works. And Jose Rizal offered his service to Dominican, and the Dominican called him Pepe Mercado. Rizal's first encounter with the university began in 1872 and received an announcement that students who want to take secondary education in Manila will take entrance exam in Manila. The announcement was required regulation which enforced in the Philippines since 1866. Rizal left in Calamba for Manila with his brother Pasiano in June 10, 1872, and it's Rizal's first trip to Manila. Jose Rizal was given a choice where to study secondary education at the Dominican run Colegio de San Juan Letran or Ateneo de Manila, which managed with the Jesuits. And Rizal chose to go for Ateneo for personal reason. For the next 10 years from 1872 to 1882, Rizal will be a Manila student. This is what he called himself in memoirs. As he spent his years in Manila, Rizal could not help avoiding the influence of Dominican. From time to time instruction, notice and regulation coming from university. Since director of the University of Santo Tomas was the ex-officio head of all secondary and higher education. The Dominican and their habits can be seen walking in the ground of Ateneo. Rizal certainly encountered Dominican face to face, and these are Father Manuel Pabla, Father Jose Garcia in March 1873 and more often until 1877. Perhaps this is reflected in El Filibusterismo, which Rizal was to write 19 years later when two Dominican professors questioned the characteristic of Basilio, who was depicted by Rizal as former student.
Let's talk about El Rector y Cancelario de la Universidad de Filipinas. Since we can't understand Spanish language, so I translated it in English. So here it goes. Inasmuch as Master Jose Rizal Mercado y Alonso, a native of Calamba, province of Laguna, aged 15 years is duly accredited that he meets the circumstances provided by current legislation to obtain the title of Bachelor of Arts and evidence of his efficiency before the examination court of second education on the 14th day of this month, having obtained the qualification of outstanding. Therefore, by virtue of the faculties that they investigated, they issue this title by which it is authorized to release, exercise, and use of functions, privileges, and graces inherent to the same in the terms provided by laws and regulations enforced given in Manila on March 20, 1877. One may notice the Universidad de Filipinas in the diploma. a legacy of the Spanish overseas minister Sigismundo Moret on November 6, 1870. The decree would have resulted in taking from the Dominicans administration, and the Dominicans naturally protested the decree and respectfully sent officials in the university at the overseas ministry. Under the Moret decrees, such as the colleges of Letran, Escuela Nautical, and Escuela de Dibujo y Pintura, and painting along with the Universidad of Santo Tomas would be integrated into a single school called the Instituto Filipino. The retention of the university under Dominican control was presented to University Rector Father Domingo Tresera on February 21, 1871. In Madrid, by Dominican Procurator General of the Philippines, Father Francisco Rivas on January 26, 1871, and his successor Manila Archbishop Pedro Payo on October 25, 1871. Morit decree would have spelled the end of the university was then 260 years old. The decrees suppressing the educational institutions were not implemented because of the change of the government in Spain. Amadeo de Savoy was proclaimed king on January 2, 1871 and began changing policies. Universidad de Filipinas had a secular name Universidad de Manila. This name did not last long, and the original name Universidad de Santo Tomas de Manila was reinstated with the revocation of the Morit decree by the royal decree. Rizal entered the University of Santo Tomas and had the following faculties consisting: Faculty of Theology, Faculty of Canon Law, Faculty of Civil Law, Faculty of Medicine, Faculty of Pharmacy, and the Notarial School.
Rizal decided to take up medicine at his university course. This change of heart was due to two factors. First, Ramon Pablo, rector of the Ateneo, had advised him to pursue the course. Second, Rizal's mother had failing eyesight, and he thought he owed him to her to become a doctor and cure her conditions. Rizal's performance at the University of Santo Tomas was not as excellent as his time at the Ateneo. His grades after shifting to medicine had suffered as well. Rizal was not happy at UST, at this reflected on his grades. There were three main factors that contributed to his unhappy at the university. It is because the Dominican professors were hostile him. Filipino students suffered discrimination. And the third, the method of instruction at UST was obsolete and repressive. Likewise, there were three main reasons for his struggling academic performance. Rizal was not satisfied with the system of education at the university. There were plenty of things to distract a young man in the peak of his youth. And the third is medicine was not Rizal's true vocation. After completing his fourth-year medical studies at the University of Santo Tomas, Jose decided to finish his education abroad. Rizal's biographers attribute Rizal's decision to study abroad to discrimination and bigotry in the University of Santo Tomas. This has been disproven earlier in this chapter.
That Tomasian Rizal. By the time
Rizal enrolled at the University of Santo Tomas. He was at a crossroads of his life, unlike many students. His mother, Teodora Alonso, objective of his getting higher education after finishing his studies at the Ateneo. She wanted him to help the family of its businesses. She feared without additional knowledge, Spanish authorities might cut off what he said. She blamed the fate of the Filipino intellectuals of the level of education they received which they used to challenge Spanish rule in this island. A family council was held and Don Francisco and Pasiana were able to prevail over Doña Teodora's objection. Rizal reviewed the various options of the university. He had been taking up law which his father prepared. He also loved arts and was inclined towards it. He would have loved an education in literature. Rizal tried to seek guidance from the priests and the Ateneo, especially its rector, Father Pablo Ramon, for guidance. His first term in school year of 1877 to 78, Rizal studied at the philosophy program in the following term in 1878 to 79. Once he decided to shift to medicine, his decision was prompted by his desire to cure his mother's falling eyesight. The university authorities were petitioning government to give priority to local graduate over position from the peninsula to the position in
Health Department. Rizal was president of the Academy of Spanish Literature and continued his membership in Marian congregation where he held the post of secretary. He continued to write along with his literary accomplishment where his memoirs entitled Memorias de un Estudiante de Manila, in which he wrote under the name P. Jacinto. Rizal formed a group of his fellow students called El Compañerismo, which was inspired by Alexander Dumas, the Three Musketeers. Rizal was its president while Gallicano at Placebo became a secretary. Other members were Rizal fellow board mates at the Casa Tomasiana, including Vicente Giglia. The group had no apparent political agenda and its main interest was mutual assistance to its members. The group broke up after Rizal left to Europe in 1882. After recovering from the loss of Segundo Katigbok in 1877, he eyed the affection of a young woman whom he had under the name Miss L. The mysterious girl was probably one of the daughter of the Concepcion Labia. The romance ended when the girl's father objected the relationship. There was also Leonor Valenzuela, the charming daughter of his landlady neighbor Juan Valenzuela. Rizal stopped short of proposing to Leonor.
So the next encounter of Rizal with the Dominicans was after his return from Europe in 1887, and upon his return, there were many allegations he threw to the Dominicans. And also, Rizal next encounter with the Dominicans was after his deportation in the Pitan in 1892. So the Jesuits emissaries to Talisay had no doubt about the blessings of Archbishop of Manila who wanted him returned to the Catholic fold. When the Philippine Revolution broke out in 1896, Archbishop Bernardino Nozalida strongly believed that Rizal had something to do with the outbreak of hostilities in the Katipunan. He strongly urged that the authorities arrest Rizal and bring him back to Manila for trial. So after Rizal was condemned to die by musketry, Bernardino sent the Jesuits to convince him to retract his Masonic beliefs to save his soul. Rizal finally relented in the evening in December 29, 1896. So Nozalida sent a draft of the retraction, but Rizal rejected it, saying it was too long. He then composed his own version, which was finally signed at 11:30 in the evening. To the church, Rizal was once again a Catholic, and his Masonic and anti-Catholic views were disowned. So Rizal died a Catholic when he was shot in the Bagong Bayan. So he was a Catholic already because he signed a draft that was, or a draft retraction which he signed. So the aftermath is of this, the heavy hand of church made it a villain for Philippine nationalists. Despite good intentions, the Dominicans were part of the perceived oppressive order. It paved the way for continued popular support of the Philippine Revolution and Sikhism of Filipinos through the establishment of the Philippine Independent Church. So in conclusion, Rizal's connection with the Dominicans was characteristics of that period of heavy church influence, which Filipino nationalists fought against. So the Dominicans, like the Jesuits, played an important role in this formation and the development of his heroism. So today it is important to distinguish propaganda portrayed by the nationalist authors against historical facts.